Welcome to my session about modern public folders. First question, so who's actually using public folders? I hope everybody. Well, yeah, sometimes there are people that are interested in public folders, just for that reason they're here. So who tried to get rid of public folders? At least once in that, oh, everybody, wow, that's cool. Who succeeded? Nobody? Oh, one. So why you are here? Yeah. Yeah, you know, public folders are commonly defined as the cockroaches of Exchange. Yeah. Yeah, they're hard to kill. Yeah, and it's harder to get rid of them, of course. Yeah? So, yeah, I welcome to my session. As you hear, I'm not from the US. I'm more towards the east. I'm from Germany. My name is Siegfried Jagodt, and basically I'm a principal consultant, so I do a lot of work in the Exchange area. I have a lot of large customers, such as Siemens, for example. And for them, of course, I used to work for them for years trying to get rid of public folders. Yeah. Well, trying. The word is trying. Yeah. I'm also an MVP and an author. I wrote a book about Exchange 2010. Anybody knows that book? Yeah. You like it? Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's always good. I'm glad if people like it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and I work for a company called Xiopia, where I run a Microsoft team of Exchange and link experts. And on the button, basically, that's my email address and that's my Twitter handle. Okay, let's start. What you're going to see in the next 75 minutes is basically we talk about what's new with public folders in Exchange 2013. We're going to talk about the migration process. And then you're going to see a 10-minute public folder migration of my smaller public folder infrastructure. So we really run through everything, so you see and understand the impact of each step that's involved when going over to new public folders. And finally, I have a couple of slides about my experiences regarding how to analyze public folders, how to see what's really under the hood, what's happening in public folders, and how to try to get rid of it. Okay. Let's start by talking about modern public folders. So what's changed in Exchange 2013 from the user perspective? Nothing. It's still the same. The user doesn't recognize if a public folder is on Exchange 2013 or if it's an old legacy public folder that's on an Exchange 2007, 3, or 10 server. From the admin perspective, however, they changed a lot. Microsoft really changed them quite differently compared to the previous versions. First thing, public folders are not stored in a public folder database anymore. They are part of a public folder mailbox. So each public folder mailbox includes the hierarchy. It's also a different move. Formerly, the hierarchy was in the public folder database. They got rid of multi-master replication. While working for global companies, that was one of the benefits of implementing public folders. And we will talk later about the impact of that. So they replaced it with a single master replication of the hierarchy. And also, you are not able to replicate public folder content between the mailboxes anymore. As I said, public folders are stored in the regular mailbox databases. And the benefit here is that they can participate in a DAG. So they are highly available by default when you store your public folder mailboxes in a DAG and you create a database copies for that. Previously, you had to create multiple replicas and replicate the public folder content between databases, public folder databases. Well, in the admin perspective regarding coexistence is they cannot coexist with legacy public folders. So modern public folders or legacy public folders, there is no coexistence, no hybrid. Let's talk about the supported version of Exchange modern public folders. Basically, all current Outlook clients support modern public folders, including Over, but Over requires at least RTM CO1 or later, of course. Yeah? And in the demo, I will show you how to see them in over. Well, regarding Exchange, Exchange 2013 users can access legacy public folders, but not on the other way around. So Exchange 2007 or 2010 users cannot access modern public folders, and that's important for you when planning to move to modern public folders. You first need to move all your users to Exchange 2013, before migrating the public folders. Yeah. And as I said, the migration support is in the way that you can cut over migration from Exchange 2007 or Exchange 2010 and have the same experience between the premises. So we will take a look at that later. So here's a slide about when to use public folders currently. Well, public folders were introduced back in 1996 with Exchange 4.0 to replace, or let's say to get a feature such as nodes databases. Well, then they started to be used by most of the people that I know. They used them to store their messages, their message conversations, to get rid of them in their inbox and to make them accessible to other people in the organization. Well, that's still the biggest benefit of public folders nowadays. However, there are alternatives such as side mailboxes and shared mailboxes. Well, nowadays, shared mailboxes can be very large as well. So if you're considering larger teams, they also can use shared mailboxes. And especially, I've seen them quite often in the area of service desks, where they have a service desk help mailbox, where they together work on items, such as a virtual team. Yeah, but the public folders in itself, they are available to everybody in their organization. So if you don't, your users can access them using the public folder hierarchy, and from there fetch the data. So they're still valid and they are still great in some areas, not in every area. However, they're still a nightmare from the admin perspective. So let's talk about the differences. So this is an overview of the differences between the legacy public folders and the modern public folders. Yeah. I already explained that the content is stored in a public folder mailbox, not in a database anymore. Yeah, the replication is not possible. Yeah, high availability stack, it's not public folder replication anymore. Yeah. A benefit, for example, is the search. Search is now based on fast. Yeah, so items and attachments are indexed full text. So basically, you can search also the attachments. However, it's still limited to one public folder search. So you cannot search across all your public folders. It's only by public folder. Yeah, the permission model from the server permissions is now based on RBAC. However, the client permissions on the public folders are still ACLs. So we didn't change anything there. Yeah, and the public folder synchronization, and that probably is one of the largest problems I've seen so far with public folders, is the hierarchy replication messages, yeah, that flow between each of the public folder databases. And they got rid of them. So Exchange 2013 uses direct mailbox sync. So technology is called ICS to synchronize the hierarchy. So there's no messages flowing into your system anymore from the public folder areas. Only, of course, the emails that are part of an email-enabled public folder that are part of your messaging system. OK, so here's the public folder architecture. On top, you see a client, and basically, we have here 3 public folder mailboxes. One of these mailboxes is defined as the primary public folder mailbox, and the primary public folder mailbox includes the only writable public folder hierarchy version. On the left and the right, we have two more public folder mailboxes, and they basically have a copy of the public folder hierarchy. However, this is secondary and read-only. Yeah? So as I said, the architectural changes that public folders are based on the mailbox architecture. This means they can be part of your DAG, they can be part of database copies, they are part of your regular backups. You don't need to consider another backup for just public folders anymore. Yeah, hierarchy, as I mentioned, is stored in all public folder mailboxes. And the content, from the content perspective, this can be broken up into multiple mailboxes. So in this example, we have the yellow folder sitting, the content of the yellow folder sitting in the blue hierarchy. Well, in the blue public folder mailbox, we have a blue folder and a pink folder in the green public folder mailbox. So you split it up, and that's the planning area, what you can do. So in regards to public folder hierarchy synchronization, how does this work? So basically, we have the same situation, 3 public folder mailboxes, and let's assume the client connects to a non-writable public folder mailbox. So it's connected to the blue public folder mailbox here. And now the client creates a folder called folder 2. So what happens in the background is that this public folder mailbox proxies the creation of the folder and sends the hierarchy information to the primary public folder mailbox. And then every hierarchy, well, every public folder mailboxes where users are connected to receive this new folder information within 15 minutes. So the key here is to understand when mailboxes are connected to the public folders mailbox. When there are no mailboxes connected or clients connected to the public folder mailbox, they receive the update after 1 hour because there is no need to push it very quickly. And that process can be modified in the registry. So by default, it's 15 minutes. You can improve it if you want to, if you need to. However, nowadays, if you think how long it might take to get a public folder replication message between continents, it probably takes longer than 15 minutes.
Are you going to affect to the run-write server live when they're going to do an update? Or are they getting a fresh copy when they're updating, or could they have to keep it located?
Well, it's incremental things, so they just see the changes. So they get an update. On the right-hand side, it proxies the request because the request was from this mailbox, from this public folder mailbox. So it must be immediately available, of course, for this user. Otherwise, the user would create a public folder and it would be gone. Yeah? So it proxies the request, and then it gets the hierarchy update from the primary mailbox, and then, of course, it's in the hierarchy.
So you're going to cover just updating an existing item versus building a new one?
Well, that's updating an existing item. Well, as I said, this is only read only. There's no write operation here. The write operation takes place at the primary public folder mailbox.
Do you have to own everybody here?
Pardon me?
Is everybody owned on the write copy only then?
No, the CAS decides where the clients are connected to which public folder mailbox. So basically, the CAS makes sure that the clients are distributed amongst all the public folder mailboxes. Yeah?
So one quick question. If you have a CAS connected to a passive copy or a secondary copy, when they do that write and it proxies back over to the primary copy, does that immediately sync back down so they get immediate results, or they have to wait 15 minutes to see what they created?
No, as I said, it proxies. So it's proxied here. So it's immediately available on this public folder mailbox. Yeah, then the write occurs to the primary, and the primary sends out the changes to the others. Okay, so as I said, otherwise the user would create a public folder and it would be gone immediately. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the coexistence matrix. Yeah. So basically, here you see a table that explains what is possible when your public folders are on Exchange 2010 or depending on the mailbox version. Of course, the mailbox version here is important. Why is that important? Because Exchange 2013 modern public folders only support Exchange 2013 mailboxes or Exchange Online mailboxes. So when your mailbox is on 2013, basically you can access any version. So also You can access your old versions, the legacy public folders, or you can access Exchange 2013 public folders. However, it's important to understand the older versions. Like if your mailbox is on Exchange 2010, then you cannot access modern public folders. So you have to plan the migration of the mailboxes first and do public folder migration at the end. So on the button, you see a look on in the Exchange System Manager, basically what you get when you do organizational config. So Exchange 2010 is not aware of Exchange modern public folders. So only 2013 is available of them. So you see the property change. Here you define the default public folder database. Here it's the mailbox limits. So this is a change. 2010 is 2010, and everything on 2013 must be managed using 2013. So how would you deploy? And that's for those of you that don't have public folders yet. So a high-level approach. How would you deploy modern public folders? Well, basically, you create a new public folder mailbox. And when you create it, the users are able to access it using Outlook. So when the users access it, basically, they can store items to the public folders. They create folders, store items to that. And at some point in time, you're required to create more public folder mailboxes. The reason for that is, for example, that more and more users are using it, so are actively connected to the public folder mailbox. And I talk about the limits in a minute. However, it also might be that the mailbox grows beyond the quota limits. And then, of course, you should also consider creating more public folder mailboxes. So then the users start creating more and more messages in the folders. And there's a approach, but that's a manual approach, what you need to take if you're running Exchange on premises. You need to split the public folder mailboxes. And how's that done? Well, Exchange 2013 has a script that's called split public folder mailbox. It's available in the scripts folder, and basically you are able to use that script and define the source and target mailbox, and the script automatically moves off half of the content to the other mailbox. And it can run continuously because it recognizes that the quota is, it just moves off the data when the quota is at least reached by 60%. So if you include that script in your weekly maintenance, you're absolutely fine with that. Okay, so what's different on Exchange Online public folders? Well, the first thing is the public folder space in Exchange Online is free. So Microsoft provides free space, and altogether you get 50 mailboxes, public folder mailboxes, with 25 gigabyte each, which means you get 1.25 terabyte for free. Isn't that great? For Exchange Online, so they don't charge extra. A limitation is one single public folder can only be 19 gigabyte in size. This is a limitation. So because Microsoft restricts, or Exchange Online is restricted the public folders to have a quota of 25, and the hierarchy must also fit in that mailbox, of course. So the limit here is no single folder can grow larger than 19 gigabyte, and that's a planning aspect if you're considering moving your public folders to Exchange Online. Is anybody here in the room considering moving their public folders off to Exchange Online? Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I'll talk about that later. Yeah, but we are talking about 1.2 to 2 million public folder. And it depends how many permissions you assign to your folders, of course. Yeah. So on Exchange Online, the good thing is Microsoft managed public folder mailboxes on its own. So the process I explained before, where you saw that you create by default one public folder mailbox, then allow your users to access it, and some point in time you need to take care to move off the content and create new public folders. That's done automatically, and I have a slide about that in a minute. We call that auto-split process. And that process is not available. So it's a manual process if you're on Exchange 2013 on-prem. Yes? Exchange Online, well, it's both. Yeah, but basically for on-prem, it's a best practice, and I talk about that later as well. For Exchange Online, it's a limit. Yeah, so for Exchange Online, 25 gigabyte is a limit. Yeah, and you can configure cross-premises access. So basically, you can have your Exchange Online users accessing your local public folders, vice versa. You can have your Exchange 2013 mailboxes accessing Exchange Online mailboxes. Okay, so let's talk about autosplit for a minute. Yeah, autosplit is basically the process that when your public folder quota is reached, creates another mailbox if needed, and moves off half of the content automatically in the background. Yeah. There's a second reason where autosplit kicks in. And that's basically when one public folder mailbox reaches a threshold limit of 2,000 active hierarchy connections. There's a mistake by the, if you're reading the blog, Brian Day posted something about 200, but that's wrong. It's 2,000 active connections. So you may consider for each 2,000 users that are using your public folders, one public folder mailbox. Well, in Exchange Online, this is created automatically, and then the content is equally, well, and of course, the connections are equally spread between all your public folder server, and that's taken care by the CAS servers. So that's logic built in by the CAS servers, yes? Again, I didn't get that. Yes? Well, basically, that's a limit we consider with Microsoft as being a best practice. So in your on-prem environment, you can go higher. However, at some point in time, the mailbox access gets slow. Yeah, so for that reason, you want to split it up. It's just a... Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But here it's only read active connections. It depends if they work or if they just browse the hierarchy. Yeah. And of course, if they work, they have to access the content mailbox anyway. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Okay, so what about backup and restore? This was a nightmare with legacy public folders. Yeah. Yes?
I might be jumping the gun, and if you're going to get to it later on, that's okay. Two slides previous to this one, you had a 19 gig limitation.
Yes. Yeah, I get to that later. Yeah. But basically, yes, you have to consider that. Yeah. Okay, so regarding the backup and restores, yeah, so basically, as it's part of the mailbox databases, it's part of your recovery databases as well. And so if you have a backup process for your current mail databases, you back it up in that way. Of course, it's still available in your single item recovery, so you can use Outlook to recover deleted items, deleted public folders there. Yeah. And the new thing is, as I said, you can restore public folder mailboxes in a recovery database and then move back the content. Okay, so that's it regarding the architecture. So let's talk about the migration, and we jump into pretty much detail here before the demo. So as I said, the first thing to remember here is that public folders cannot coexist. They're either or. Either they are on legacy, so on Exchange 2007, 10, or they are modern. And that's what you need to consider in your public folder planning. The first thing, and the most important thing, if you consider moving your public folders, you need to consider moving all your mailboxes to Exchange 2013. Otherwise, they won't be able to access your new public folders. And public folder migrations is currently GUI, is no GUI, is PowerShell only. And that brings me a small challenge during the demo because I have to type the scripts. But you will see it's working. Yeah? I practice this a lot. Yeah. So what you can do is you can migrate to Exchange 2013 from 2007 and 2010 public folders on-prem. And to Exchange Online, you can go 2007, 2010, and 2013. And the key here is to remember, when you want to go to Exchange Online, you don't need a hybrid deployment for doing that. Yeah? The process uses Outlook Anywhere connections, so that must be working, but it should work because otherwise you're not able to move mailboxes between the premises. And that's how the public folders are fetched and stored, well, migrated to Exchange Online modern public folders. Okay, so what's the requirement? Of course, always install the latest and greatest, especially in this area, because modern public folders and the scripts are brand new. They are still updated, and for those of you that had a look, they are just available since May. And just yesterday was the coexistence available for Exchange Online to on-prem public folders. So just stay up to date with everything you run, yeah, as well as with the scripts. And better to check it twice. Yeah, you make sure that legacy public folder replication is not harmed in some way, because that's key. Yeah? Otherwise, you might face that items are missing in the target environment if that's not the case. And maybe consider reducing the amount of replicas here, if that's possible. Just try to, before you migrate, to have a single replica of the content folder, not like 10 replicas. And I said this several times, it's cut over. So the high-level process, there will be a short downtime of public folders involved where you have to log it down. So you lock the old public folder structure, then you do the final synchronization, and then you open it again. The benefit here is you can switch single or more mailboxes and directly target the modern public folder structure, so you can verify if your public folder migration worked. And once it completes, as I said, you open it, and that's it. And you always can roll back. It's no problem at all. So from the process perspective, I have a nice-looking slide here. So let's assume we have 3 public folder mailboxes. The mailbox replication service is responsible for replicating the public folder content. So they are connected here. So first, when you want to migrate, you prepare and analyze. So basically, that's you verify your existing public folders. And currently, there's only one known issue that I know of. It's the backslash in a public folder name that you should be aware of, and that should be removed. And then you run 2 scripts, export public folder statistics and public folder to mailbox map generator, and I come to that in a minute. That creates your map file, and that map file basically tells you how many public folder mailboxes you need. And then you create the public folder mailboxes, and you create them with hold for migration true to make sure they are locked for migration. And after that, you create a request, a migration request, to import, well, to let Exchange 2013 know it should start the migration. Well, at that point, the hierarchy will be copied over in the content. Later, when it reaches 95% of completion, it will auto-suspend it. So that means it will just stop and wait until you do a new action, and we will see that in the demo. At some point in time when you decide, okay, now let's finalize the migration. As I said, you can begin the migration anytime up front because it runs in the background, and basically your user is still using the legacy public folder structure. So when you decide to finalize the public folder migration, you basically lock the legacy public folders using the set organization config commandlet. And then you remove from the migration request the prevent completion setting, and you run resume to basically allow the synchronization to finish. So that copies the final changes to the hierarchy and opens up the public folder mailbox. So basically the hold for migration, where is it? The hold for migration is changed once the public folder migration request is completed. And then you can finalize your public folder migration. So first thing normally is, and you will see this in the demo, we connect one mailbox to the target modern public folders and verify that the public folders are available and there. And then we can open all the public folders. So we open all the public folder mailboxes using the is excluded from servicing hierarchy to false and set the organization config for public folder migration complete. Well, that commandlet basically allows the email delivery to mail-enabled public folders. Yeah, so during your migration, when you lock your structure, emails to public folders will be stopped. They will be stored in the transport in the queue. And once you open it again, you make sure you check all your transport queues. So sometimes you need to restart it to make them deliver, and then they are delivered to the target, to the modern public folder structure. Now, as I said, rollback is possible, but the problem is if you open the public folders, emails are delivered to the modern public folders, and you need to take care to get the items back. So the public folder synchronization is one way only. It's legacy to Exchange Online. It's legacy to modern public folder only. Okay, let's get one step deeper before we do the demo. So the first step is to prepare and analyze. So basically, you take a look. You make sure you don't have large public folders. And the question of this gentleman over there was exactly in that direction. Well, depending if you're going to Exchange Online or Exchange 2013 on-prem, you have to consider how large your public folder mailboxes should be. Well, and we have a script to do that. Can we take, yeah? Yeah. No, not the public folders are queued. The messages that are directed to these public folders are queued. So they're marked as not reachable. So they stick in the queue. They wait in the queue until they are unlocked again. Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and you download the scripts. Well, and what you can do optionally is you can make a full export of all the information that is available in your current public folder structure. And this is done to compare it later if you miss something, if you don't trust the process. And that's the reason I put it optional here. So then the first thing is, and anybody of you ever or did already run the migration scripts? Somebody tested it or tried it? No, nobody? So, okay, I have a couple of information for that. So first, you run the export public folder statistics script. And as I said, this is a download. This is available on the Microsoft TechEd web pages. So that you need to download that script and store it locally. And that script will enumerate all your public folders from all your public folder databases and fetches also the information about the size of that folder. And here's an example from a production environment, from my production environment. Basically, it took me 20 minutes to enumerate 50,000 public folders. Yeah. So that shows you how many public folders are on what server, on what public folder server. And it creates a CSV file, a map CSV file that you then use basically to generate a map to a public folder to mailbox, public folder mailbox map file. Yeah? So what's that about? That's the consideration where you have to put in the size of your public folder mailboxes. In your on-prem environment, so in Exchange, if you run Exchange 2013 locally, you can go as high as 100 gigabyte. Yeah. So the recommendation is a max of 100 gigabyte per public folder mailbox. The best practice is 25. Yeah. So if you put in, and if you take a look here, basically I started with 15 gigabyte, and it said, no, they're folder larger than 15 gigabyte. Then I took 20. Well, 20 was still too low. Then I took 28. So here I I didn't want to really go in and remove the data. I just increased the size of the public folder databases, the public folder mailboxes. Yeah.
Is there a one-to-one mapping in a public folder mailbox in 2013 and a public folder in legacy? Is there a one-to-one, like in a public folder legacy? 2013, is that a one-to-one relationship to a mailbox, or are there multiple public folders in a mailbox?
There's as many as you like in the mailbox, up to the queue. So you can have, well, it's a one-to-one matching if the one public folder fills up your quota. If not, then it's a one-to-many matching. So you can have as many as all you, well, in my demo, I show you like, it's like 2,000 folders that I migrate into a single public folder mailbox. Can we take the question later, please? Because I want to show you the demo, yeah? And I'm a bit scared of the typing. And is this okay? We take questions. I'm here, yeah, all afternoon and ask the experts afterwards anyway. Yeah, so I take the questions gladly later. Yeah. So then you create the public folder mailboxes, and you create the first one. You need to create for hold for migration and is excluded from service in hierarchy, and then all the rest you just create using is excluded. But let me, I jumped over something. So this is the output here, what you see, what gets from this script. And this output tells you how many public folder mailboxes you need. And it also includes the name of the public folder mailboxes. Well, to make it easy, it's just mailbox 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it's just increasing number. And we have a script available on the web page that allows you to automatically create all the public folder mailboxes. If you want to change the name, you need to change it here. Yeah, and then consider this, of course, when creating the public folder mailboxes. So as I said, public folder mailboxes, you need to create them at least 2,000, well, one for 2,000 users, and or if they are part of your public folder migration. So if you have 6 mailboxes in here, but you have, like, let's say, 20,000 users, you better consider creating more public folder mailbox to spread the connection here. Okay. And finally, you need to configure the quotas. And here's the information about the quotas. On premises, as I said, 2 GB is default, 25 is recommended, 100 GB should be the maximum. It's just from the performance perspective, the maximum. In Exchange Online, 25 gig is the max. You cannot increase that. Okay, then the migration begins. So what you basically do is you create a new public folder migration request, and here's the commandlet. That's what I run as a script. After that, you continuously run get public folder migration request and get statistics. So you take a look at the migration request if everything works right, and the include report gives you a report with the detail if something goes wrong, or if something goes not really the way you like to have it, and that's a one-time process. So once it's stopped. It doesn't resume automatically. So after a while, you want to consider regularly run the resume public folder migration that brings your modern public folder again on 95%. So it synchronizes the changes to make sure that at the end, the delta sync will be as small as possible. Well, and then once you decided to migrate, you lock your public folder structure. And that's what you get as a client. Cannot expand public folders. Yeah? So the client will see this error message when they try to access the public folders. And as I said here, the problem is when you lock it, all your public folder databases need to know about that, and that might take a while. So consider extra time here. Yeah. You can improve the speed by starting and stopping the information store, but the problem, of course, is stopping the information store will also disconnect your mailboxes, your regular mailboxes. So in a production environment, I don't recommend that. Yeah. And finally, you complete the public folder migration by configure the migration request to prevent completion false, which means, okay, now you can continue, you can finalize yourself, and then run resume again, and of course, the public folder migration statistics. but we come to that in a second. And here's a common issue I saw. It's you get in the log, in the report, you get a message that says relinquishing job because the mailbox is locked. This doesn't mean the mailbox is locked. This means that your public folder databases are not locked. Yeah, so you have to make sure that public folders are locked in your old system, in your legacy system, and then this error message is going away. And to increase the speed, as I said, restart the Microsoft Information Store. Remember, that brings down your databases. So only in a test environment. I use it now to show you to make sure it's on time. So finally, what you do is, once you've finalized the migration and the request is through, you verify that your modern public folders are as they used to be in your legacy, and that can be done by assigning a specific mailbox directly to the public folder mailbox, because then they override the is serving the public folder hierarchy false setting. And after that, you allow general access. So this will allow your clients to connect to the hierarchy. The is excluded from service hierarchy false means, okay, every client can connect. On your legacy server, you then run the public folder migration complete, and I already said that. This allows email delivery to your email-enabled public folders. And then, of course, you can consider the removal of legacy public folder databases. However, I wouldn't be too quick with that, because once they're gone, and there's always a rollback possible, no matter what. Well, the old databases are locked anyway. They can stay there for some time. If you want to roll back, well, that's easy. You just set the two configs here on your Exchange 2010 or 7 servers to false, and bang, your clients are able to access the old structure or accessing the old structure. Then you, of course, remove the public folder mailboxes and make sure to get rid of them. And what you need to consider is what happens to the emails of your email-enabled public folders or those where the users already started to work in. Okay, so now let's switch. Let's see if I can do the demo. So that's going to be a public folder migration in 10 minutes. No smiles, no laughers? Yeah, come on. So everybody knows how to access public folders, yeah? Microsoft made it really hard to hide them, but still I have users that don't know where they are, yeah? So if you're looking for public folders, you have these nice little 3 dots. You open folders, yeah, and then they're there, yeah, public folders. So basically that's the public folder structure that I just created for this demo. Yeah, let's create a new folder, yeah? TechEd. I was lazy, I did not remove that one. So TechEd 2, it's not Tech here, who cares? Yeah? Test mail. So you see it's live, yeah, without any things. Okay, so now we have the public folder created, we have the public folder structure. As I said, this is 200 megabytes in size. So I have a fair amount here. Roughly, I think that's like a couple of hundred folders, just for testing purposes. So this is my demo environment. It basically runs on a couple of virtual machines. I have Exchange 2010 in there and Exchange 2013. Yeah, so when I go on my 13, so that's 2013, and I run get public folders, you will see that basically there's nothing. Yeah, Exchange 2013 sees only modern public folders, not old ones. Yeah. So then to start, I switched to my directory where basically I ran the 2 scripts in. And here's the script output. pf2 mbx, oops. So the output was basically saying, okay, I have 25, I did 25 gigabyte, and it said, okay, all your folders are stuck to mailbox number 1. Yeah, you can run that. And what you do here is, okay, it's one mailbox, so I just create a new mailbox, yeah? New mailbox dash public folder mailbox 1. And remember, I need to hold it. Yeah, hold for migration is true, and I need to is excluded from servicing hierarchy, also true. I hope that's true. Yeah. So now it creates the public folder mailbox for me, and basically defines this mailbox as the primary mailbox. So after that, you run this very long, and I'll show you PS1. You run the long script. Yeah, you run this new public folder migration request commandlet, and basically it includes the source database. So you configure the server, and you include the file name of your created mapping file. So let me get that. Yeah. Okay, it worked. The reason I showed you before that is I need some seconds in between that and this, otherwise the hierarchy is not there yet. And it will say, I don't like that. Yeah? So here you see I created the public folder migration request. And it said, okay, it's queued. So what happens in the back is the Exchange 2010 server will start and fetch out to Exchange 2010, connect to the public folders, and reads the hierarchy first, and then copies over the information. So let me show what's happening here. Okay, so get public folder migration. No, not that. That's the wrong one. I need get public folder migration request. So now it changed to in progress. So we have request statistics. So now I will look into the statistics and show what's happening in this request. So basically, I include the report, yeah, and then you can, well, if you run it without pipefl, you don't see the details, you just see the percentage. But if you run it with FL, basically it tells you all the details. And let me. So here, let's start from the top. And this is basically the background copying process of your public folder information. Yeah? It will show you information such as what source server it's communicating to, what databases it's communicating to. Yeah? You have like the duration, yeah? The queued duration, of course. And here you have very interesting information about the bytes transferred per minute. Yeah, so one of the most common questions is, so how fast is this migration request going? So what can I calculate? Well, the general answer is it depends. Yeah, of course. So the official answer is 2 to 3 gigabyte per hour. However, I saw we are right now copying 200 megabyte over, and that takes approximately 3 minutes. So if you calculate that, yeah, it's much faster. But I'm running my test environment on SSD drives. Yeah, so that's a bit faster. So here you see items transferred, you see the percentage, and here is the report. And that's the most important thing for troubleshooting. Yeah? So let's run it again and see how far we are. So we are still copying. We are at 91 megabyte, it says up here. Yeah? So let's take a look at the report for a minute. So here you see exactly what happens under the hood. Yeah? So that line explains that the Microsoft Exchange Mailbox Replication Service takes the request. Yeah? So again, the Mailbox Replication agent is responsible for moving public folder data. Maybe they changed that name somewhere. So it's the move request or whatever. Yeah? It's able to connect to the target database, and then it tells me what it did. So here it started to synchronize the public folder hierarchy, and it found 57 folders total. So sorry for that. I just created 57. And 48 folders were created. Why is there a difference? Between some of the system folders are thrown away. There's no FreeBSD information needed anymore in the system public folders. So that's a way. Can we have that later, the question? Is this okay? Or no, it's not a GUI. There's no GUI available yet. It's exclusively in PowerShell. Yeah? Okay? So now you see, oh, we are ready. So we are at 95%. Yeah? And it automatically suspended the job. So now all the data is copied over, the public folder hierarchy is there. So what I can do now is I can lock the old environment, and that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Yeah? So I switch over to Exchange 10, sorry. So to my EX1. Yeah, I set organization config, and the parameter is public folder locked for migration. Locked for migration, true. And as I said, this is the commandlet that basically needs to replicate throughout all the databases, to all the public folder databases. And I just increased the speed by stopping my information store and starting it again. So now my personal mailbox was disconnected, of course, as well. But this just takes a second. And after that, when I open my mailbox, oops, that's the wrong one. Come on. So that's my mailbox. If I click on a public folder, it will say, oh, nothing to show. That's because it lost the connection. Let's open it again, and I'll show you what it looks like, just to have so you get the feeling what you need to consider here, what your user will expect. So that's my mailbox. Points, folders. Come on, there's public folders. And once you click here, it says it's locked. So, hello. Might take a second. So now you see it. Yeah? So the users won't be able to access anything in the public folders. So that's cancel. So the next step here is you basically, I run get again, so you see nothing changed, and that state stays. So the key here is it stays like that. It doesn't resume again. Yeah, so when you run this, like let's say today, and in 2 months you want to migrate your public folders, then you probably want to run this like every month once, so you get the delta syncs and you have this available in the target. Yeah? And on the day when you're migrating, of course, make sure you're at 95% like that. So then you basically set the public folder request, so you configure the public folder migration request to be able to finalize, to finish up folder migration, prevent completion false. And then you click, well, you run resume migration request, public folder migration. Thank God my keyboard is working. So, and here, so basically what we did, we took off the you are not allowed to succeed, to continue, because we don't want to have anybody communicating to you. It opens up again, and now it's investigating. At the same time, what I do is I set a mailbox to access this my public folder mailbox database, my public folder mailbox directly. So I set my user account to default public folder mailbox, and I say mailbox number 1. So this allows me, even though it's not, remember it's configured, the public folder mailbox is configured to is not serving the hierarchy, so nobody would access it, but this will override that. However, of course, it must the migration request must be finished, so the one thing, the setting must be removed. So here you see it finished. So now we migrated 50 public folders and roughly 200 megabyte of data to the new public folder structure, and it's finished. So from here, basically, I open over. Yeah, that makes sense. So let me show you the public folders. Oops. It's my password. Password is password. What else? So that's over. Well, and in over, you don't see the 3 buttons, so how do you access your public folders? Well, basically, that's by right-clicking favorites, because over is limited currently to just access the favorite public folders. But you can browse the public folder hierarchy here. So you click Add, and then you see the public folders in here, and we see the folder that we created is TechNet2. Okay, click Add, and then we can access it. Yeah. So bang, oh, it works. Yeah. Now you can access it. So you can have a couple of users or key public folder users, which are normally not the admins. Yeah. Access the public folder structure and verify if it works or not. Yeah. At that point in time, everything is locked. Only the public folders, only the mailboxes that have been directly configured are able to access the public folder structure. So after that, once you say, okay, everything is good, so you basically, you open the public folder by configuring the mailboxes, the public folder mailboxes. So set public folder, set mailbox, dash public folder, come on, public folder, mailbox 1, yeah, and then is excluded from serving hierarchy, false. And that opens up the access to the public folder hierarchy in the modern public folders everywhere. So the last step, so at that point in time, your users are able to connect. However, the emails of your email-enabled public folders are not yet delivered. And I talked about this 3 times. So that's done by just using the set command again. So you set organization config, yeah, and you configure, oh gosh, I can public folder migration complete. No, look, complete, string true. Come on, string true. And here we go. Yeah. So that, now everything is open. Of course, as I said, you need to consider your message queues here. Maybe restart them once to make sure that they kick up and see that the public folder, the email-enabled public folders are available again and are in a new location. So what else would I like to show you? So finally, I would like to show you the admin interface. So when you, and here I'm not, no, so you administer your public folders on the EAC, the Exchange Admin Console. So basically, let's open the EAC, and let's password. Okay, so in the EAC you have the public folders. And I got from some customers the question here when they click on this, and well, of course, if you have legacy public folders, nothing will be shown here. Yeah, so you don't, it only will be available when you have modern public folders. So EAC only can be used when you have modern public folders in place. Well, of course, we migrated them, and here you see on this tab, you see the public folder mailboxes that you created. You can configure things like the quota here. And on the other tab, on the public folders tab, you basically see the public folder hierarchy, and you can go down or up. Yeah, and you can also configure, for example, your client settings here. So you can email enable folders, and you can configure client permissions. Let's configure the client permission. It's pretty much the same what you see today in the public folder manager. So Ellie wants some special permissions, and you click Save, and it's applied to the public folder. Of course, under the hood, that's PowerShell. Yeah, so you can do mass changes using PowerShell. That's more like for those users that want to manage small amounts of public folders. Okay, that's for the demo. Let's switch back. I still like 15 minutes to go. Any questions to the demo? Yeah? Yes? One question, I take one. No? Let's continue. Yeah, I speed up 15 minutes. Yeah, that's quite okay. Okay, so what's different? So you saw the migration, and it was a full migration. Yeah, so it works now. Well, of course, I just had 200 megabytes. But what's different when you want to migrate to Exchange Online? Basically, Exchange Online requires you 2 more steps. Yeah, the first is you need to export. You need to configure email routing. Make sure that your email-enabled public folders are, of course, available from your on-prem environment. So that requires some settings, but it's described on TechNet. Well, then you need to export. You have an additional script for exporting, importing mail-enabled public folders, because mail-enabled public folders are not part of your DoSync. Obviously, yeah. So you need to run that several times, of course, and make sure that that works after when you do the final step. And finally, the public folder migration request goes cross-premises. So you need to provide more information and make sure that Outlook Anywhere is running between Exchange Online and your organization. So let's talk a bit about the experiences. Yeah? That's like my close-up before we can jump into some questions. So the company I used to work for many years is quite a large company. We have 1 or 2 million public folders. Yeah? We have roughly 173 public folder databases. Yeah? And in these databases, we have 34 terabytes of data. That's quite a massive, isn't it? Yeah? It's quite a lot. Yeah? Our public folder hierarchy is roughly 4 gigabytes. And at the beginning, there was this question, how big can a public folder database be? Well, basically, there is not much known information about a modern public folder database hierarchy, modern public folder hierarchy of with 1 to 2 million. Yeah? It's just because I wasn't able to really to get my task up and going. However, I think the database, the public folder hierarchy size will be similar to the size what it is now right now in Exchange 2010. So if you don't know the size of your public folder hierarchy, just create a new public folder database and wait until a replication kicks in, and then look at the size, minus 25 megabyte, and that's your size. Yeah. Okay, so I'm working for a division that owns most of it, 700,000 public folders and roughly 10 terabyte of data. And we have some issues. Yeah. At the beginning, I said, the thing here is that I found public folders that are from 1999, yeah, with mails in there. And then I talk to the business, to my users, and they say, yes, we need them. Yeah, well, if they can prove and if they can pay for it, that's okay. Yeah, but the problem here is when I did my first public folder project back in 1999, we defined mainly the public folder hierarchy was organizational-like. So you put departmental names in it. So we set it up and then forget about it for 10 years. And you can think about how it looks today. Yeah? We had like, there's one reorganization of the departmental names every year. Yeah? So it's just nobody finds anything without guidance. And the names are 10 years old. Well, the current growth is 10,000 folders per month. Yeah, that's month. Yeah. So yeah, that's the reason I was hired basically to make sure we get rid of that. Well, we lower it down and try to prevent from increasing it at that pace. So my biggest issue was 700,000 public folders plus, yeah, and no hierarchical. Well, there is a hierarchical information available in the Exchange console, in EMC, but is it good? No. Yeah. So how do you analyze a data like that? So what I came up with is we did an export to CSV, so PF WebDAV export to CSV, and we created a pivot out of that. Is it pivot? Pivots? We say pivot. Yeah, but it's from the French, I guess, because German. Yeah. The great thing on pivots is you can expand, well, you can combine the data. So the hierarchy is expandable, and here you see the sizes of the areas. And then, of course, you can talk to the people that have the largest amount of data in the public folders and make sure they know about what's happening. Because it's like when we see 88,000 public folders, yeah, I know this guy. He's responsible for one guy, 120,000 public folders with his departments. But they are the most active people working in the public folder hierarchy. Yeah? So what do? So basically what they do is currently they move their mails that are in regards to their projects to a centralized location for later lookup. Yeah? So any message that is part of their project is moved to a project number in the public folders. The problem, of course, it's such a project is roughly between 5 to 20 gigabyte in size. Yeah? So quite a lot. Yeah? So what I found out is they are only used manually, which is great. No applications are found, so nobody is playing chess anymore. Remember the chess animation at the beginning? Yeah? So that application is gone. Yeah? Anybody of you has public folder applications running, like forms and, well, not forms, but real applications that depend on public folders, or just on email?
Well, they're forms with logic. We use them for
Okay, yeah.
like a notes kind of thing.
Yeah. That came, well, when public folders were introduced first, that was what the intention from Microsoft, I remember. However, most people that I saw just move their stuff in it or have calendars or contacts there centrally stored there. So in general, what I try to achieve is we try to push our users down to alternatives to reduce the public folder replicas. Nowadays, there is no real good reason to have replica anymore because the network connections are so good. Back in the time when we introduced them, we had like massive problems when users accessing servers in the US, but nowadays that's easier. Yeah? We try to, and that's the biggest thing, what we see in public folders. The problem is everybody stores their data into the public folders, but nobody ever removes it anymore. Yeah, there is no expiration date on public folders. Yeah? So we try to convince especially large owners to get the process to remove the stuff from the public folders as part of their project schedule. So when they close down the project, they should also remove their public folders. Yeah? And as I said at the beginning, well, I'm much in favor of functional mailboxes or shared mailboxes. This is a great alternative to public folders, and we convince quite larger teams, up to 50 people, to use functional mailboxes apart from public folder mailboxes. And so that's really something worthwhile to consider here. Okay, so to finish up, let me just talk about a bit about the planning aspects. So the first thing is, what you should consider is, do you want to migrate your public folders at all? If you see my example, the answer would be no. Yeah? But at least for the next 2 years. At some point in time, there might be the problem that we need to migrate. Yeah? Yeah. Well, for me, it's still, I just turned 40, yeah, so I have to work 25 more years. Yeah. But yeah, and that's a valid question, to be honest. There's no real reason to immediately move over. And remember, you need to have your mailboxes on Exchange 2013 in order to be able to use modern public folders. So there's no rush. You can wait, yeah, and see how everybody is working with modern public folders, and you just keep your existing structure in place. Even though if you move to Exchange Online, for example, you also can keep your public folders on premises and configure it to allow your online users access the on-prem public folders. So why should you move immediately? That's one thing, yeah? But when you decided to move, you need to consider, of course, how many public folder mailboxes do you want? The best practice is 2,000 per, one per 2,000 users. Yeah? The next one is, where do you want to place your public folder mailboxes? Remember, replication is gone, public folder replication, so it must be somewhere centrally. And of course, the primary public folder mailbox is an important mailbox because it cannot be replaced. So if you delete your primary public folder mailbox, your hierarchy is lost. There's right now no way to make a secondary to the primary if the primary is lost. Yeah, so you need to consider that and protect it by using a database copy, please. Yeah, you can transfer it. But as I said, if it's gone, then the problem is if you delete it. Yeah, you can transfer it. Yeah, that's what you can do. So how would I migrate a large public folder structure? So this sums up a bit about the talk that we had about migration. So The first thing would be to clean up the existing public folders and introduce alternatives as much as possible, so reduce your structure. Yeah? Reduce replicas where possible, because they might not be needed. Yeah? And a replica is a complication that you can get out of the way. Yeah? Start to migrate all mailboxes first, yeah? And then start the public folder synchronizations. And yeah? So basically, run them regularly. They can go in the background. Yeah? And when all mailboxes are migrated, then you can consider on the switch over. Well, do the final delta sync, and then, of course, switch your public folder mailboxes. So here, well, I have 4 minutes left. That's like fantastic. Normally, I'm like 10 minutes over, so you're glad. So here's just a summary of useful commandlets and what the parameters mean. Because when I looked it out, and we probably published this somewhere in the blog, but the thing is, it's not yet available. So the details here you cannot get from the blog right now. Yeah? So it explains you all the commandlet parameters and what they do. So this is just to look up once you migrate. Here's a list of links. Yeah, as I said, the migration scripts, very important. And what's new since yesterday? Yesterday, Brian Day published the configuration legacy on-premises public folders to a hybrid deployment guideline. Yeah. So again, remember, you don't need a hybrid deployment to migrate your public folders because you migrate them using Outlook Anywhere, straight. Yeah? However, we have this guideline, and 2 more are coming there. The cross-premise experience and how to configure that, that's coming in the next couple of weeks. Yeah? Can I take questions in a minute? I'll just finish up here because that's the... So we have the great related content, whatever. I'll be at the expo next 15 minutes until it closes. Nobody told me it's 4. Well, it closes at 3, not at 4. And the track resources, yeah. I hope to see you all at Mac. Yeah, and everybody probably comes up and says, oh, we successfully migrated to modern public folders. I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. What's available on Channel 9 is a discussion with the key people of public folders that was released last week. Yeah, so just look up for public folders on Channel 9, and you will find a discussion regarding backup, regarding migration, regarding configuration and best practices here. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, whatever. So that's it for that session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm glad to take questions. Yeah, we have like 3 minutes to go, so we can have it in the audience. Yeah, one. Oh, thank you.